welcome to another episode of The Real Franchise, a video series designed to deliver real information, real answers, and real insights into franchising. The series is brought to you by James Home Services Australia. I'm the CEO, and Justin is one of our owners and our head of new businesses. Together in this series, we tackle all of the big topics, completely unscripted, unplanned, and unfiltered. There's no sales, no fluff. We just give you information straight up. Today's topic is all about how we generate leads in this network. Justin, a very big topic. Where do you want to start?
Well, I think a good place to start is the last few weeks. I've been on holidays and was on holidays. You were, I guess, filling in my role for some of the time and handling, over 2 weeks, 200 people inquire. One of the things you commented on was how almost every conversation that topic comes up. How many leads do you guarantee us? Or where do the leads come from? Or, how do I get my leads? How do I know you're going to give me leads? Mm. And that has got us talking because I think at James we have a very different process. I think a smarter process for a long-term healthy business. So I was wondering, particularly because leads, people often think marketing, and you oversee our marketing in James. So how did you answer those questions when people were throwing that question at you?
Yeah, good question. I realised within the first 3 or 4 phone calls that every single phone call, one of the questions I was going to get was, how many leads will you send me and who is responsible for generating those leads? And I will say I kind of assumed everybody at a high level sort of understood the franchising model. And it was really interesting to learn that people, there was like 3 key areas that people always asked about. One was price, which we've already done a video on. The second area was leads, which we're talking about today. And a third area was how will you help me stand out in the marketplace? And I think we should do another video on that area and keep just to leads today. But the question about leads came up almost every single call. Okay. And the number one question was, people actually firstly asked, how do you generate leads and who is responsible? And then as a follow-up, they asked, how many leads could I expect to be sent from you? So I answered along these lines. When someone said how many or who is responsible for generating leads, I always would lead out with a very open statement around this is a team effort in our network. And there's some really good reasons why we see it as a team effort. So, I'll just give you a high-level overview of what we do and why we do it the way that we do it, because it is very different. It's a team effort in that you are responsible as a business owner for owning, operating your business. And one of the responsibilities of a business owner is lead generation and growth. And so part of the answer is you are responsible for generating the leads. But the other part of the answer is so are we. And the way that I explain the delineation between what we do and what we teach you to do is that we do all of the tricky stuff. We manage the website. We pay for all of the social media advertising. We set up, pay for, and manage all of the Google advertising across our whole network as well as individually for specific businesses as well. We do things like the call center and the software that sits behind sending automatic lead generation notices out to people. So we do everything that's tricky. We also do all of the brand design, all of the marketing collateral design. If you have an idea for marketing your business, we can make that happen. We do all that stuff. We do the tricky stuff, the paid stuff, or the stuff that requires genuine expert knowledge. And we teach you how to do the stuff on the ground. And I call this boots on the ground, which is physically you are in your area. We are not. Head office works all over our beautiful country, supporting our franchisees all the way from Victoria up through to far north Queensland. And we can't be physically on the ground in our franchisees' territories. But you are as the franchisee. And what we teach you to do is how to leverage your presence. And I won't go into the specific strategies today because I feel like that's like a little bit of our secret, what we actually teach people to do. But also it's not rocket science. It's not complex stuff. Remember that we do the complex stuff. We teach people to do the basic stuff on the ground, the stuff they probably think, oh, that's really simple, but it's so effective when it's done consistently to our system. So that's how I answered. It's a team effort. We do the tricky stuff and the paid stuff, and you do the boots on the ground stuff.
Yeah, very similar. I say to people, we're the ones that spend money on marketing. Our franchisees, you don't have to spend any money on your marketing in a sense. Like, I don't know of too many people in our network that spend over and above what we spend money on their own marketing. But one of the great things I think we've done since we've owned the business is the course. I think that you put together 51 ways to generate leads for your business. And I think we might have done an episode on that earlier on. But yeah, all those practical things you're talking about, it's lots of little things that make the big difference. It's no one thing. There's no silver bullet that's going to generate all these leads. And I know from talking to thousands of people over the last couple of years, there's like this perception I find that some people have of franchising of the business model that, well, no, the franchise should supply all the leads and you should be able to guarantee me a set number of days. Like I'm sitting up here in Western Cairns with a pocket full of customers where you live. Like, it's just not reality. And the flip side of that argument, because there are a few business models out there that will guarantee leads. And I really want to encourage people listening to this that understand that comes at a cost. There's, a few things why I don't like that particular business model, not because it's not our model. We could go down that track, but if you're going to be fed leads, that means the business that's generating those leads is spending the money and they're charging you for that. And I know there's business models out there that charge 50 to 60% of the revenue of the job that you do. You have to pay them if they've generated the leads. So you're paying for it, right? The other thing that I didn't like, because I was a franchisee myself, I looked around, is in that business model, you have no control. You're sort of sitting, you're like the beggar sitting there with your hands out, please give me some leads. And all great if you get lots of good leads at good prices, but what happens, it's out of your control. And if you want to grow or if you're not getting enough, what do you do? What I love about the James model, and one of the things that really attracted me to it a long time ago, was we help people. Like the skills we teach people, these 51 ways to generate leads, don't just work in these businesses, do they? They're relative in any business you go to in the future.
It really is.
Same things you can carry with you.
Yeah. I did a podcast interview where I was interviewed by a man called Jackson Milan, also known as the Wealth Mentor, very successful businessman in Queensland who focuses on helping small businesses and their owners to understand how to use the business as a vehicle to financial freedom. And Jackson was interested to interview me because he had previously been a franchisee in a franchise network. And his experience was that when he joined the franchise network, they fed him all of the leads. And then what happened was head office changed their strategy and they severely cut their marketing budget pretty much overnight. And he described to me that it was like the tap turned off and his business essentially evaporated overnight. And he stood at a fork in the road and he had two choices. Do I allow this to happen and my business caves, or I've got to step up and figure out how to generate leads so that I'm still generating an income? But he found himself in that position because he'd sat back and just accepted the leads from the head office, and they hadn't necessarily afforded him the opportunity to learn how to generate leads for himself, making him more sustainable and resilient to changes in strategy. So it really highlighted to me when that was his experience. He was very interested to learn what we actually do as a franchise network. And I will say he asked me some very hard questions and some very direct questions. Because of his experience, he was quite critical of franchise networks. Like, do you guys just deliver up leads? And what happens if you're going to change your strategy? Are you about to rip the rug out from underneath your entire network, so to speak? Because that had been his experience. And I felt so proud to be able to say to him, actually, our model is totally different. And that wouldn't have happened to you under how we operate. Because what we do is we teach you how to stand on your own 2 feet. We send you leads. We absolutely do. We market so hard at head office nationally for our business, but also for all of our individual businesses as well. But that is happening parallel to us teaching you the skills to be able to generate leads. And it's critical for that exact reason, because he is an absolute example of that rug being ripped out from underneath a franchisee. It happens. It happens. It just happens. And in our network, we make sure that our model allows that not ever to happen to you. Because if you're following our system and you're implementing our training and our guidance and you're working with your business coach, then you know how to generate leads. And if you want more work one week, you just go out and implement some marketing strategies. If you reach capacity and you don't want to grow anymore, okay, pull back on your marketing for a period of time, or make a decision about whether you want to bring staff into the fold, and we can help with that too. But it gives you options and it gives you control. And it's my thoughts are that if you want a business of your own, 9 times out of 10, you're seeking that control and that freedom and that flexibility because you're not getting it being an employee.
Yeah.
But you also don't get it if you simply step into a model where you're basically just acting as a subcontractor. And there are models out there that are essentially just that. And I mean, anyone that says, yeah, mate, we're just going to send you all the leads, just kick back and chill. You know, you don't have to do any marketing. It's totally fine. We'll send it all to you. You kind of just are acting as a subcontractor. You know, you get sent work, you go do the work, you get paid for the work, that's it. But you're not really in control. Not at all.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, like as we've seen in some of the trials and stuff that we've done, where those sort of leads come from are generally the lower end of the market. The people, you know, your customers are just customers that are just customers because of price. You know, and those sort of leads very hard to make a profit out of, like make an income out of. The other thing that round leads, you know, because then when I answer people this way, and you may have found the same, the concern is, well, how do I know I'm going to make money when I join James? And I sort of go, well, you know, we've done this hundreds of times before now, starting people, particularly in the last 12, 18 months with the subscription model, being able to start so many people. We've learned so much. And it's why we give everyone an income guarantee, because we've learned that if they're doing those things we teach them, combined with the money we're spending, because the two work together, they feed off each other to generate leads in an area, we know that by week 3, you know, the business, the momentum's going to be happening. So we give a guarantee for everyone that starts from week 3 that there's an income guarantee to support you like a safety net in case you have a slower start. But, you know, if people are doing that stuff, it happens. You know, the lead stuff flows. You follow the systems and the training and converting quotes into jobs and et cetera. And yeah, like we don't often have to pay out on the guarantee. I mean, we should
maybe, I mean, for total transparency, maybe in the first couple of weeks, right? But as you say, we're starting a business from scratch, right? So to go from $0 to $1,000 a week in a couple of weeks, but that has happened before in our network. It's absolutely possible, but most people, you know, it takes a few weeks to get there. So look, sometimes in the first few weeks we pay out on that, and we have absolutely no issue in doing that when someone is following our system, because honestly, I know I'm not going to be paying out on it for long. I know that after those first few weeks, I'm not going to see an income guarantee application come across my desk from that person if they're doing all of the things and following the system, because I just don't have an example where someone has legitimately followed our system and our guidance and failed. We don't have an example of that in the network under your ownership in the last 4 years. So that income guarantee is there because we genuinely back that our system works when it's implemented.
Yeah.
You mentioned something before, and I wouldn't mind just going back to it. You mentioned that where businesses just simply, or the perception is that some potential franchisees think that we're just going to have work in our back pocket to hand to them when they start. And it's a really interesting thought process. And I'd like to step through that, because I think about things really logically, and I think, okay, I don't have a franchisee in your area. And you're inquiring. And you've asked me, hey, is there a whole stack of customers in that area just ready to go? And we're saying, well, no, there's not. And the reason we're saying that is because, well, why would there be? We're not marketing in that area. But you take it a step further, and the reason we're not marketing in that area is because we choose to spend all of our marketing budget in areas where there are actually business owners who can do the work.
Yeah.
So if you flip that concept and you think about other networks that say to you, oh, yeah, mate, I've got leads sitting in my back pocket, and when you start, I hand them to you. What does that mean? That actually means they're marketing in areas where they don't currently have business owners. So it means that your franchise fees are paying your franchisor to market in an area that you can't service. So I like to think about things logically, and I like to think, well, no, we don't have leads in our back pocket to hand out to a new franchisee. But the reason is because we spend our whole entire marketing budget only focused on areas where there are actually franchisees in our network. Because if we allocate a marketing budget, I want every cent of that to be working as hard as it possibly can to generate leads for our business. I don't want it generating leads that we can't service. That serves no purpose to us. It serves no purpose to our franchisees. And it kind of means that we're wasting franchisee money, to be honest. So that's not how we operate.
Yeah. And the other thing is it's bad advertising. If we're advertising in an area and someone responds and goes, oh, great, here's this James, they can help me, and they inquire and they get told, oh, sorry, we have no one in your area. Like, if I'm that customer, I'm sitting here going, what is it with these guys? They advertise and then they can't help me.
Why did you market to me?
Yeah, exactly. So they'll never inquire again to James. And so then when someone does start in that area, they're starting from behind the eight ball. Like literally yesterday, I had a guy in Brisbane looking at a lawn business ring up, and his exact words were, oh, so this would come obviously with an existing customer base. And it's like, well, and I just said to him, I said, okay, the answer is no, but think about it logically. Like, how can you have customers if you can't look after them? Yep. Right? Because those customers that need their lawn mowed, they're going to go find someone who can mow their lawn, because we can't. So you can't have customers without someone to do it. And you're the person to do it. It's a chicken and egg question. So you're dead right. We start advertising when we have someone in the area. Because the other question people say is, oh, well, with your system then, can you send me, how many leads are you getting in my area at the moment? And I say, well, I don't know unless I looked at the system, but probably none, because we're not advertising there, because there's no one, it's a chicken and egg thing.
It really is, yeah. And I really like the idea that, well, our advertising budget is genuinely spent in areas where we're generating leads that can be serviced from, because our franchisees are paying into the advertising budget, and then head office also allocates some of our other operational budget to pump up the advertising budget, because it is really, lead generation is really important. It is a critical aspect of what we do. But I really like to be able to say to people, well, we only spend our advertising money where it will actually generate a lead. And we really do push our advertising money as far as it possibly can go. When I was super young, back in my very early 20s, I worked alongside a marketing expert who we were opening a museum, and she was head of marketing, and we had all of $10,000 in a marketing budget to open an entire regional museum with. The way she made that money work for us was just incredible. And she termed it as crisis marketing, i.e., you don't waste your budget on superfluous stuff. You only spend your money where you know you will get a return on that investment. And I honestly have carried that concept. I mean, I don't now term it crisis marketing because that kind of sounds like we're in crisis. And that's not the case. Crisis marketing from her perspective really was making sure every single dollar was earning you 10, 20, 30 in return. And I really carry that notion forward. And now overseeing the marketing for our company, it's something that is very important to me, that every dollar I spend on marketing, we are getting the absolute best bang for buck. And we're constantly switching up budgets. I'm constantly saying to you, hey, just as an FYI, I'm pulling budget from here and I'm putting it here because I'm getting a better ROI. Hey, I'm going to stop doing this, but I'm going to start doing this because I want to test the ROI I get on that. So we really are focused on making sure we're getting outcomes for our business owners, but it is that joint effort. And we go to great extremes to try and get their money working as hard as it possibly can to generate leads. But at the core of it, our philosophy is not just hand people work and hope for the best. Our philosophy is skill building. And you touched on this before in that what we teach people, it goes beyond just having relevance in our network and our model. What we teach are skills that can go into any other business or any other career beyond James, because at a point, you're going to have it. If you have a James business, you might have it for 5 years, you might have it for 10 years, you might have it for 15 years. But at some point, you and James will separate. And our philosophy is really making sure that when that time comes, you leave us with so many more relevant skills than you came to us with. We're not just about shoving you leads and then saying, off you go. That's our responsibility done. We really actually genuinely want to build your skills as a business owner.
Yep. Good. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Well, perhaps that is a natural place to leave this discussion for today. Anything else that you wanted to add? Any other observations or comments that you have about lead generation in terms of franchise networks, or you think we've covered it all?
Well, I could talk for hours, but I think this is a good spot. Maybe a whole nother episode is on those lead generation companies out there, because with some of the people I've been working with recently that are looking at joining us, they've already started their own business. They're buying leads, spending a fortune buying leads, and just, frankly, in their words, getting rubbish.
Yeah.
And they've been battling along in their own business, trying to make, and they just can't make a dollar, and they're just burning money. And, we used to use lead generation companies and we just found, like you were just talking about the ROI on investment. We now know with our skills and what we've learned over time, we can generate better and more leads ourselves. And so we've shifted the spend from that to...
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I know the numbers tell us that for what we used to spend on a lead with those lead generators, I can generate 3 of a much higher quality.
Exactly.
Data tells us that that's a much smarter thing to do, is to invest where we know we're going to get a higher ROI. And that's the sort of thing that our franchisees don't have to think about, because we take care of the tricky stuff and the paid stuff and the stuff that requires genuine expertise, and we teach them the boots on the ground so that they remain in control and so that they are not going to have proverbial rug ripped out from underneath them if we change our strategy or our budget at any point in time. And I think a lot of people come to us because they want flexibility and genuine control. And when you build somebody's skills and you teach them how to fish for themselves and go generate those leads for themselves, they're far more in control of their business and their turnover than if they're simply sitting back getting leads from somewhere.
Yeah. Excellent.
All right. Well, let's leave the conversation here for today. If it was helpful to you and you've listened all the way through, thank you so much for spending half an hour of your day with us. Hopefully you'll join us for the next episode of The Real Franchise.